Hey UNC advisors, Haley, your academic review coordinator here. This video is going to talk about the Fresh Start policies. Fresh Start can be a great option and program for students who, well, had a rocky beginning to their career here at UNC and could use a fresh start. Now we call it a fresh start because those who are eligible and complete the program have their C- and lower grades removed from both the GPA, yay, and their graduation totals. So that is an important thing to keep in mind and weigh with your students. Now when we say it's removed from their GPA and graduation, those C- courses, C- and lower, so any C-, D+D, D- and F grades courses will remain on the student's transcript, but there will be a note fresh start, and it's not actually going to be used in that quality point GPA hour math to get their cumulative GPA. So this kind of instantly boosts students off of academic probation because now they don't have any C-, those grades below a 2.0, on their record. Now, when we say it doesn't count towards graduation, that also means that these courses are just on the transcript as a note, but not being applied towards their degree. So if you have students who maybe earned a lot of C- in LAC courses, those are currently counting towards graduation, and if they do fresh start, they will have to retake all of those LAC options. Same with any major or minor courses that are currently counting in your program, but if it's a C-, D+D, D- or F, and they do fresh start, it's no longer going to count towards graduation, no longer going to count towards majors or minors, so it's just something to weigh for students. We have two types of fresh start: freshmen and returning. So first, fresh start freshmen, students are only eligible if they have fewer than 30 earned credits towards graduation here at UNC, but that's total, right? So if they brought in a bunch of transfer and dual enrollment credits, those are counting towards graduation and they're part of their 30 earned total. So I am looking, when I'm processing for eligibility, 30 total. So before you present that option to your students, pull their transcript and look at the total earned credits line, not the institution total, not just the transfer total, but the total, how many total earned credits do they have? And that mark needs to be fewer than 30, so they can have 29 and less earned credits towards graduation, total. All right. They also need to have a GPA less than 2.0. So if your student, is only close to probation, but they aren't on probation yet, they are not going to be eligible for Fresh Start either. So this is 2.0 and lower with fewer than 30 earned credits. So Fresh Start Freshman is truly designed for students who just had a bad start transitioning into the college environment. Now, if your student is eligible for Fresh Start Freshman, the next step they must do is go over to another institution, a community college, wherever, and take at least 24 transferable credits with a 2.5 GPA at that institution. So we'll then be looking at their transcript. Did they actually get 24 credits that could transfer to UNC, and do they have a 2.5 cumulative GPA at that other institution? They really need to complete these credits before they apply for Fresh Start. While we will look at unofficial transcripts if your student has these classes in progress, we ultimately need to see that official, did they earn a 2.5? Did they really have 24 credits transferable to actually be eligible and have this program applied to their record? So definitely encourage them to, maybe finish those credits up first. If they did a fall and a spring, boom, they have their 24. They could hit our deadline for June and come back in the fall with Fresh Start. Once they come back, So if they meet all of those first two kind of criteria, some processing, myself and the registrar will be looking for those two things. Then when they return to us, they need to take 12 GPA hours and earn a 2.5 term here. So we will be looking at their GPA hours and did they hit a 2.5 to have Fresh Start reapplied. If they meet that mark, boom, those C- and lower classes will be removed from their GPA calculation as well as their grade. Now, one thing that's very important to know, all the grades that they take that semester back are going to count in their GPA no matter what. So maybe they hit a 2.5 because they had, 3 B's and then 1 C- or 1 D. Right, that C- and D is going to still count on their record. It's only classes prior to the time they come back that are going to be removed. Cool. Now, one thing with Fresh Start freshmen that might be impactful for students going through probation. They don't need to be suspended to use this program. So if you just have a student whose target GPA, is pretty high, it's not super realistic or feasible for them to hit that, they might be facing suspension eventually, you might talk with them about the Aims to UNC program, or just using Fresh Start in general. They can go anywhere. We don't want to push necessarily a specific college, but you might give them information about Aims to UNC because the Aims to UNC program will not accept students who are suspended. So as soon as they do get suspended with us, they can't do Aims to UNC anymore. They can still go to Aims, but they cannot do Aims to UNC. So before they get suspended, they might leave us with the intention of doing Fresh Start freshmen, go over, complete their Aims to UNC. That way, their liberal arts core could be waived. So if most of their C- and lower grades are coming out of the liberal arts core, they don't have to worry about retaking those classes for graduation because now their LAC would be waived if they do their associates with Aims to UNC. And when they come back to us, boom, their GPA can kind of be fixed. Also, the Aims to UNC program, has GPA requirements at that 2.5 level to be in the program. So they're going to have a lot of support to make sure they hit that requirement to actually have Fresh Start applied. So just something to think about. Definitely explore Aims to UNC. You might point students towards that information, but they can take these credits at any institution, anywhere. It is also recommended they do it at a Colorado institution just because of our GT pathways. But again, it can be any institution. We just need 24 transferable credits. Now, Fresh Start returning is a lot simpler. The only eligibility is that students have been away from UNC for 3 full calendar years and they have C- grades and lower on their record to actually be removed. And so we definitely see this if your student is thinking about really taking quite a bit of time away from UNC. Again, it just has to be 3 full years. Then they come back, they complete the paperwork, and boom, it's applied to their record. They don't need to have any transfer requirements, GPA requirements, targets to hit. They just need to have been gone for 3 years, and then they come back, do that paperwork, and same deal, the grades that they earn the semester they're back at UNC will be carried forward. It's only wiping those grades 3 years and older from their GPA calculation and graduation requirements. For the Fresh Start returning students, it is important you talk with them and kind of take a look at how many sort of major or minor requirements they have met that are going to be wiped that they're going to have to retake. You also might need to look and see if their catalog has expired and if they need to reactivate their account since they have been gone for at least 3 years. Now, if your student is returning through Fresh Start after being suspended, again, they can use Fresh Start without being suspended, but if you have a student who was suspended and they're going to use Fresh Start, one, it is an automatic readmission. They don't need to do the standard readmission appeal, which is great. But for the deadlines, they definitely need to complete it by those readmission deadlines. So that way we have time to process and change their suspension records into that sort of back returning kind of codes. So just gonna keep that in mind. If they haven't been suspended, there's a bit more leeway, especially for returning students. However, if they were suspended and are coming back, do have them submit their paperwork by the readmission deadline. And the paperwork for the Fresh Start program is available on our probation hub. It's at unco.edu/advising/probation-support. Thanks, advisors. Go Bears.